arts and social justice organization with headquarters here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm here with Anel Flores to welcome you to this presentation of Queer Voices, a public poetry performance that we co-hosted this past March as part of the AWP 2020 conference, which Anel curated. We are rebroadcasting this presentation as part of Pride Month to honor these amazing writers and the loves and struggles of our queer and trans community. Our cultural and arts programming plays a vital role in bringing together diverse communities and building solidarity among diverse groups and causes. We are gathered here recognizing that our work as an organization hinges upon the deep-rooted concerns that we have for our community. We fight for justice and peace to ensure that we live in a community where human rights and human dignity of all people are upheld. Anel, can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with this project, Queer Voices?
Yes, thank you, Graciela, and thank you for that beautiful word, queerated. I hadn't heard it yet, but thank you. I'm in love with it. And so Queer Voices, to be quite honest, it probably began 20-something years ago when I started volunteering at the Esperanza Peace and Justice Center, and I learned the power and the power of healing and truth and growth that poetry and theater and music does for queer community. When I saw, I don't even know who it was, but it could have been Marsha Gomez, it could have been so many people that I saw on the stage at the Esperanza, and I knew as I continued my life path that I wanted to curate and continue to do this work in everywhere I could possibly be and also collaborate. So I started Queer Voices 4 years ago this month, curating it with the Pride Center and with intentions of finding ways to collaborate with other LGBT organizations and people doing work for LGBTQIA folks in our city and all over the country. So AWP was coming to town, and if you don't know, it's like the whitest, straightest, hetero patriarchal organization for writers, but it is a professional writers organization. So San Antonio wanted to shine, and I knew that we had the ability to do that because we have incredible talent in San Antonio for queer voices, for artists, for everything. And so we decided to curate it, and I joined up with the Esperanza, the Pride Center, Raspa Magazine, and also AWP LGBTQIA Caucus. And we were all able to partner up and give a little bit of money here and there. And that way we could make sure that not only inviting authors from all over the country that were here, queer authors, but also paying our queer authors, because it is very important. I mean, now, especially in this quarantine that we're in, but always to pay our artists and our writers, because to pay them is to put food in their mouth. And so I'm so happy for all the co-sponsors that were able to put together Queer Voices, and I'm super, super pumped and excited for you to see them now on screen and to share it with everybody. So I thank the Esperanza, first of all, for putting the archives for all of us to enjoy and see, because I know that for every viewer and every person listening to this work, it will open your heart, it might break your heart, it will heal your heart, it will grow your heart, and it will grow us all as community and engage us to work together. So thank you, and welcome to Queer Voices in Quarantine, AWP 2020, and please enjoy all the authors. Thank you so much to the Esperanza and everybody.
Thanks.
I'm really excited to be here. Like everything in life, well, not like everything in life. I mean, like us, many of us queer folks, right? We're always looking for home, we're looking for space, we're looking for place. And that is always an up and down. It can be up and down, it can be over there, over here, over here. Sometimes it's just in a seat next to a friend, sometimes it's in an airplane, sometimes it's alone. And the Esperanza is a home for many of us. So I want to say first, thank you to the Esperanza, the staff, everyone who's been a part of the Esperanza. And I'm talking also about people of the Esperanza that are not here today. Maybe they're just not part of the Esperanza anymore. Maybe they are. Maybe they don't live here. Maybe they are in the spirit world. But they've all come through these doors. There are many amazing voices that have built this place. and their stories, their artwork. I couldn't even name them. There are so many. I will say that when I was 17, I'm a non-florist, by the way. I was kicked out of the house. There was a cute little bookstore that I heard about called Textures at the time, and I went into this tiny little bookstore that was the size of the stage, I think, and there was a flyer for the Esperanza. And I remember thinking, okay, this is something. I see it. It's like lesbian, had the word lesbian on it, I'm pretty sure, or gay or something, and I came straight here. Been here since, and of course, like family, I left for a minute, and we made up and, got, leave, come, back and forth, but this is always a home. And so thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting Queer Voices. This is a vision that we all have. I started Queer Voices at the Pride Center 2 years ago, and it's a monthly reading of Queer Voices every fourth Thursday. And we have had, in your program, you will see all the past voices, and they're all local queer writers. I was thought it was very important that you could see a list of amazing talent in San Antonio of queer writers. Some of these folks are not from San Antonio, maybe 3 of them. The rest of them are from here, they're local. And it's important during this amazing, huge, well, I don't know about amazing, but this huge conference that we show off how amazing San Antonio is. Right? It's important that we say, look what we have. We have all these voices that are here from the past Queer Voices. We have all the voices that are gonna be on the stage, plus people coming from out of town that are here to visit. And it's important that people know that this land that was not San Antonio always, that was a First Nation land, that was land of the Native Indigenous people, this land was theirs, and these voices, what is ours and theirs, and was not previously, it was not San Antonio, it was a land of sacred land. So let's please honor that, honor the space that we're walking on, that we are part of. Remember that we are here with all of our spirit guides and our ancestors, and that we are here today because they have provided us that opportunity to be here. And many people have. Many people that we might not even be friends with, but at some point in our lives they have touched us. We might not agree with everything that they believe in, but at some point in our lives they have affected us. And we are here as a queer community to say that we are resilient. We're gonna stay connected. We're going to try to help each other as much as possible. We're going to continue to build family. And that's what the Esperanza is about. That's what San Antonio is about. That's what our queer community is about. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And that's what Queer Voices tonight is about. It's about connecting the San Antonio Pride Center with Raspa Magazine, with the Esperanza, with Queer Voices, and all of these amazing people, and working together in collaboration, because that's the way we're going to be able to break the system that they have locked us in, okay? So let's do that today, let's do it together. Also remember that it was the graciousness and generosity of the Esperanza to let us have this home this evening, to let us use this space this evening. It is a community space, so they don't say no one can come in here, it's always open, but they're doing this evening for all of you. So if you can please consider being a monthly donor, $10 a month, $20 a month, $100 a month. We spend that on things you don't see. Please consider becoming a monthly donor. There's envelopes, I want to say, downstairs at the table to do that. You could also just walk up to any of the Esperanza volunteers and staff and say, when can I donate? How can I donate? Open up your wallets right now if you want and say, do I have any cash in there? Take it out, hold it up, and be ready to put it in that little jar downstairs, because we really do need to donate to these spaces so they can continue to stay open. I also want to acknowledge, again, the Pride Center, Raspa Magazine, AWP's LGBT Caucus. I heard that, I'm pretty sure it's true because the LGBT Caucus told me so. This is the first year that AWP's LGBT Caucus has put money behind LGBT programming. So we were able to get some cash. Raspa Magazine, Cesar Ramos, who you'll meet here in a minute, helped with, is also donating money. The Pride Center donated some money, AWP LGBT Caucus. So the readers this evening will be in time getting a small check honorarium for being here this evening. That's what we're trying, we're just trying. Like we're gonna try to get y'all some money. Because we know you gotta feed your families, you gotta feed yourself. To start, I have the honor of introducing someone who's actually not here today and not listed on here because she wasn't going to be able to send a video of herself. She's from San Antonio. Her name is Adelina Anthony. Who knows Adelina? Woo! Adelina! Let's give her a hand. Round of applause. She's not here. She is in California, not here with us this evening, but I was able to ask her, and she was able to send today a video of herself greeting San Antonio, saying hello to each of you, and reading a piece for you. So I would like to introduce Adelina Anthony. I do have her bio here. Adelina Anthony, originally from south side of San Antonio. Adelina is a two-spirit Chicana lesbian artist centering stories, characters from her communities. Let's welcome Adelina Anthony's video.
I just want to thank Sananto, my friends, familia there for always welcoming this queer daughter and her artistic works and offerings. This is an excerpt of a fictional work that I started to develop a few months ago. It's dedicated to mi ama, and tonight feels really apropos since today is her birthday. And I know that she is always taking care of me, even though she's en el otro lado. And yeah, so it doesn't have a title yet. I know that the word malcriada will appear in the title somehow, and I think you'll see why. And also, yeah, gracias for embracing me the way you all do. So here we go. The second time a couple tries to adopt me away from my mother, we are living at Los Morrison Apartments, allá in the deep south side, close to the 410 where some people abandon animalitos and black trash bags. I know this because on our way to the flea market one time, we saw a trash bag walking like a borracho by the side of the road. Me and mis hermanos cried out and insisted with so much fervor that our dad had no choice but to pull over. Sure enough, a gatito had clawed his way through the flimsy bag and was trying to find his way out of a suffocating situation. We named him Borrachito, and he seemed to thrive with us kids at the apartments until one day he just disappeared. The good thing we were only about a mile away from our mother's iglesia, St. Lawrence Catholic Church, where sometimes abandoned people found solace in the patron saint of the port. But I can't say praying for our lost Borrachito brought me any real comfort. But after our failed search party attempts, it was the only thing left to do. What was there to lose? Well, except more of the faith in the supposedly all-powerful male God and his son. The force and power of religion was already waning in my life. After all, I had a multitude of unanswered prayer requests on my family's behalf. Yes, at 8, I was on the precipice of declaring myself an atheist. But I didn't know that such a word existed, and honestly, I wasn't ready to break my mother's corazón with my obvious devil-daughter malcriada ways yet. Anyway, the single-level apartments where we lived for a year had an exterior of wood panels on top and red bricks on the bottom. I remember this because I measured up myself against the bricks, where my eyes met the hormigas that made their daily worker trek. And so too every madrugada left the fathers and sometimes even las madres, which meant that on a blistering summer day in San Anto, the kind where the cicadas sounded like 1,000 pots were being scoured in your orejas, my brother and I left to explore the compound. Mainly, we were trying to find dinero, nickels, dimes, and on good days, even las quarters. Pennies were a given. We assumed nobody cared about losing a centavo here and there. And it would be years later when I would realize that brown pennies were pretty much like brown peoples. Y como siempre decía mi mamá, ay, mija, the pinche gobierno doesn't give a damn about us. So while mi hermana was checking the doorways and side areas of the neighbors where weekend parties always seemed to take place, my little pinky was trying to flick a quarter behind the lone washing machine in the community room, where a dead cucaracha seemed to float peacefully on its back among the clouds, aka dust bunnies. Muchacha, there you are, said the manager. Ben. Man, I thought I was going to get scolded, or worse, that my mom would find out that we had disobeyed her again. She was always so worried for us, making us feel like the Kukoy was always out to get just us all of the time. Like there were no other mocoso huercos out there to occupy this country. The truth is, the only man who terrified us at this point in our vidas was our dad. Still, we heard in las noticias about kids who went missing and the such, so although we didn't always listen to her, we knew better than to leave the compound. Plus, there were certain neighbors we knew to stay away from, not because she warned us, because we got a certain feeling about them. Like Cody, the old white man who sat on the broken down, faded plastic lawn chair from my HEB. He looked like a dejected Santa Claus. Yeah, we knew better than to take any presents from him. But the manager, holding out my all-time favorite cold Big Red on a humid day? No, hombre, I knew I could trust her. But the quarter, I could come back to that later. I took the soda can and sat next to her by the doorway steps. You see, Ana lived across from us. I didn't really talk to her or her friend Maria much, but I knew that Maria in particular checked up on my mom, especially if our dad had shown up and made a mess of the place, or worse, my mom's face. Maria had a long braid that went down her back, and she always wore these pretty long skirts. Her dark blue one was my favorite. She smiled at us kids and always said something kind in Spanish, and we responded with our Spanglish to let her know we were being raised right, with manners. No como animales, another of my mother's favorite sayings. Anyway, Ana was looking out into the gray parking lot drinking her cold Sprite. I knew she was a funny woman because of what I had heard my dad say one time, and not funny in a ha-ha sense, but in the fact that she dressed a lot like my dad. Blue jeans, black boots, and a white muscle shirt. She even had the same dark skin and black curly hair, like she could have been a lady man version of him, only skinnier. Mija, you know that your mom is going through a lot these days. I nodded, and I thought to myself, she's always going through a lot. Maria and I were thinking, would you like to come live with us? Tan tan. Only it's not a real tan tan. I'm just going to stop there for time. Thank you all for letting me share this. I don't know where I got that inspiration from, but I feel really happy that I got to share this with you all, and some of you are friends that I actually get to see, and I can't wait to hear how it all went. And love you all. Gracias.
Next, I would like to bring up Jo Reyes-Boitel. And before I do that, I also want all the readers to know we have a little gift for you on this little stand here. There's a little enamel pin with the logo of the Queer Voices. This is one of my pieces of art, so it's one of my drawings, and I created it to give out to the readers when they read. So if you all want to take one, it's a little gift for you to take with you from San Antonio. So please grab yours. So next is Jo Reyes-Boitel, poet, essayist, and playwright. Her book, Michael plus Josephine, reimagines a celestial and mortal's love affair. Welcome, Jo Reyes-Boitel.
All day today, I felt like the one kid who had lice, like Eddie was talking about, Eddie Vega was talking about. I felt like the one kid who had lice, and nobody wanted to be in San Antonio, nobody wanted to hug, nobody wanted to do that. And now I came in here and I'm like, familia, I feel better, thank you. If AWP was just all queer, that'd be great. Okay, so this piece is called Figs. It's a tentative title. I pulled at a package of figs and ran to work. I was late and hungry and out of breath. Once at my desk, I opened the package of 10 figs and read the news. The Guardian published a story about a father and his daughter who were held in detention for now but threatened daily with separation. The fathers offered deals by the U.S. to return to Guatemala, and for today, the Mexican border where they are is still dangerous, but at least closer to the U.S. family he hopes to join. It's said in these asylum cases the danger must be proven. Parental concern for a better life isn't enough. Still, his lawyer sells him on the American dream, that hope for a better life. But this option will only increase his chances of returning to the place he managed to leave. Already the weight is against him. And All the while, the little girl thinks that she's been on vacation and she's hungry. This is the worst vacation, and her father can't ask for food, can't walk into the kitchen and come back with an apple or some cheese. The daughter is 7. If they stay any longer, her stomach will learn to be hungry only when meals are offered, or rather, to eat, because the next meal arrives as a privilege. For now, she's mad. Her father says she's always been strong, but now she's changed. That anger unfurled within her. It takes me 4 hours to read this article because I'm at work, and it is work to pretend to be working. And in between pretending and the news story and making coffee and greeting the incoming and switching out the water cooler bottle after dragging it through 2 rooms, well, I managed to eat all 10 figs. Those leather skins, bowls of flesh, so much like the space between fingers and thumb meant to be caressed, and if squeezed to reveal a grainy kind of pain from within. Should a person eat 10 figs? What does that do to a person's body, and are the effects short-term or are there long-term issues? Either way, it took me an hour total, give or take a few minutes to finish them. With so many figs, I realized their differences. Some with thicker skin, some more pith, some with the rosy inside, full like my young girl hair. Shy, reserved, no. Abundant though, some of them. Some more crunchy, some with the softness and no seed. And with each, an increasing reaction to how they change my mouth. With each, I think of desire and how of any fruit, it should have been the fig that tempted Eve. In all this office chaos, I had the idea of desire sinking into me. How the fig, with its pocket of honeyed syrup, promises sweetness but requires transformation of the person biting into it. How it rewards that person. I think of the wasp who's compelled to pollinate the virgin fruit, knowing to do so means their own death. And I stay hungry but will not go after what I want. I get mad. Turn into a child and claim nothing is my fault, but I am hungry and I will not feed myself. I am clearly not a child here. Why not be like the wasp, who enters the flower that is not yet fruit, not yet gorgeous purple skin and toothy white and luscious blood pink in her flesh? Not yet, but will be, and still the wasp trusts. This is a heavy-handed metaphor. The fig is not a fruit, it's a flower, inverted and requires an action to become the small fist I hold so carelessly in my hand. This becomes my metaphor for America itself, which offers only the idea of the American dream. Attaining it is a whole other matter. That the desire of a good life is possible at all is a trick we sell to ourselves and others. It is, in fact, a slippery thing, requiring all of our breath, suffocating us. I think of the man I routinely do editing work with. He's texted a poem he wrote about God, and I think it sounds very much like desire. Like a love affair of possibilities, longing. It's a word he repeats at almost every line. Repeats often enough, I learn to accept it and open my mind to it. And in the line where it isn't present, I miss it terribly. This is only a 7-line poem, but I'm caught like a cicada by its fresh skin and wet wings when just emerging from my previous shell of a life. He asked me to share a poem, and I, as narrator, move away from desire into conquering. These are related. We've been taught to conquer what we desire. If we don't, someone else will conquer us, our creativity taken from us. In the poem I send him, I ask the unknown reader, what will the moon be called after the last conqueror has died? What will you name it? But this man brings me back to the tenderness of a moment and how even there he feels as though he's distant or incapable. Even when he sees his daughter laid out in a hospital bed in a poem, he does doubt himself. I don't see it. To me, he's all blood and muscle, solid, sure. Same as the father of that small, hungry girl who himself has changed in the face of desire, that need for happily ever after. I let myself be free, reveal to my friend this man that I've always wanted to share poems back and forth with someone who understood what I was reaching toward. I just never thought it would be a man, a white, straight, married man at that. Because there's an intimacy in sharing creative work, and still he says, share with me, I'm gonna finish this. But what I long to share is so close, What I want to share is so much the words hesitate within me. The thump of language grows in my body, the stretch some words require, because this body is temporary. But the sounding of a word's ideals are forever and growing. Each word a wasp becoming flower, a death drum leading the wasp on, a cadence that must be released or it risks becoming anger. The child to hunger, to anger. A parent who begins to fear they cannot hold this thing back. A parent now filled with their own desire. Damn it.
Next on our list is Tori Cárdenas. Tori Cárdenas is a trans poet from northern New Mexico, likes their dog, dislikes everything else. Welcome, Tori Cárdenas.
Me and my homies came here from Albuquerque earlier this week, and so far I really like San Antonio. It's great for my hair. I've got a poem for y'all called Shark Week. It's my 6-month testosterone birthday next week, so thank you. And I don't really get my period anymore, so I don't really get to have my monthly rant. Now I just rant all the time. So this poem's kind of for that. I also know a very famous someone who doesn't like sharks, so it's also kind of for them. So, Shark Week. 100 million sharks are killed by humans every year, and complete extinction is likely for at least 4.5 species of sharks. Sharks which have existed unchanged from the beginning of time until last week. Primordial carnivores carving the sea like gusts of ancient wind, bellies full of nets and swallowed license plates. But I don't want sharks to go extinct. I want beaches full of sharks, not too many people, endless blue waters to rinse our feet and gills. I want the Coast Guard to take down fin hunters. I want neighborhood kids to tell legends about sharks with spindly legs crawling landward to stare down poachers with their black eyes. I want the stillness. I want to stop juggling my panic, to stop hatching eggs inside myself. I have learned to say no sometimes. I want the waves. Instead of pitching ideas, I want Shark Tank to be about feeding billionaires to sharks. I want their safe deposit boxes to drop to the ocean floor. I want their estates to fund Medicare for all. I really want a Sharknado to hit Mar-a-Lago. I'm talking hammerheads and threshers and great whites here. I want to witness the greatest live-action reimagining of the one and only plague of sharks brought down by Moses from the Mount when he got tired of Pharaoh's bullshit. Listen, I don't tolerate bullshit terribly well. I want fistfuls of jaws and a 3-note symphony at the end of this movie. I want to finally release the beasts, the angular angels of Animal Planet's week-long television extravaganza. But most of all, I want an end to cages. I want stolen sharks to be returned. I want missing sharks to find their way home. Thank you.
Next up is Edyka Chilomé. Edyka Chilomé is a queer traveling poet with indigenous mestiza roots from Mexico and Central America. She is author of She Speaks Poetry and El Poemario del Colibrí, the Hummingbird Poems. You can catch up with her on social media at Edyka Chilomé and read more about her work at edykachilome.com. Welcome to the amazing Edyka Chilomé.
Yeah. I spoke to an elder the other day, and at some point in the conversation, she pointed up the road and confidently turned to me to say, she said, Meshi, she has watched over many memories, traced the past in which fingers discovered, stimulated making claims over bodies so as to keep them living, life-giving. Seeing her light skin speaks and lips feel, making no sound and humble in laborious ways, making selflessness a sacrament on every given day, she said, you see, this conversation is long begun. But Edyka, whenever you try to write, try to shed light on the underground, because to them our graves have been done, dressed up in poverty, negation, and denial. But she whispered, anytime they try to cover up the remains, they leave room for revival. And that is why we lay. In her light, we tell stories with no sight and no gaze, hidden from the power of his day. We find refuge in her nights. Always remember, we live through birth by death, and we should always seek each other to take flight. And after she said that, I was like, well, damn, that shit is deep. And just like that, I finally understood why I longed to touch you. And if I could be so bold in this poem, if you only knew what your breath and your moan do, you'd be so lost in my liberation, you'd forget all that our people have gone through. Inherent pain and memories would dissolve into present-day glories manifested in the ways you choose to explore me and my people's past. And when you find the courage to do that, our lives no longer fit in his hourglass. And the struggle of my mothers becomes so clear, and the friction between your fingers and my skin, mestizaje, becomes the only language our love is born in. And the way you caress my back, you'll learn of where my soul's been. If you trace my scars, you'll learn of my father's sins. But don't worry, we're free from his lies and his stories because our story is enacted right now. And this is more than a deep-ass sex poem. These are visions of our liberation right now. So if they try to say this is not a revolution, I would challenge and ask them how, because in my skin and in your skin, the proof lies that our ancestors are still living. So when we praise that one, we give him praise to where praise is due. And so as long as the light of the moon still shines, I will always find a way for my skin to speak and let you know that I love you. Because I love you. I do.
On the queer community note, I also want to thank our volunteers. Tristan, who's sitting here in the front here, is a really good friend of ours, a family member, actually, like one of our family members came out all evening. Honey, my sister-in-law here, already also came to volunteer. Just people like, what do you need, what do you need? And it's like, that's what queer community is about, right? Just showing up. So thank you for showing up. Thanks to all the volunteers who've showed up, the volunteers in the back. So thank you all the volunteers at the sessions. That's what it's about, helping each other, reaching out and asking what we need. And so I wanted to make sure I do that. And on that note, another person that I love dearly, and we've been there for each other many, many times, Maya Chinchilla. Woo! Maya Chinchilla is a queer femme, Guatemalan writer, editor, and lecturer at the University of California, Davis, author of the Cha-Cha Files, a Chapina Poetica. Welcome, Maya.
Church at night. Every time I think of Orlando, I mean Orlando, with extra Spanish flourish, an ornate word to decorate, to trim, edge paintings on that mark bloody conquest stories. In La Florida, a flourish is missing the most colorful of its flowers, so many now without a pulse. The beat remains while they beat our remains, some for political gain. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, but nothing else. Let's play Smear the Queer so you know what happens, lifeless after a night set aside for the truly living. In your cutest jeans, once the worst of your fears, will I get my life tonight? Not that your death might be your coming out story, or that your last selfie would be used to identify you by family across borders who loved you and depended on you, because documents even matter in the afterlife. A night out in the open because others had danced and defied and rioted, heels and bricks against pigs with nightsticks, paddy wagons and little dicks on power trips, getting off on, just doing our job to keep the peace. They fought so that we could feel free. However brief, to get our life, la vida, en el ambiente, con la familia. Pulse, mis nenes, chulos, locas, hermosos. When I heard your names, I could barely catch my breath. The Anthonys, the Frankies, the Giancarloses, the Amandas, the Martins, the Luises, the Mercedes, Marisoles, Enriques, brown boys, grown men, girls and women floating along the gender spectrum, family and friends hanging out with the children of the night. The Simons, Gilbertos, the Javiers, mostly 20-year-olds, both barely experienced enough to fear anything. Proudly sissy boys, beefcakes, bears, butches, and fabulous femmes. The Jasons, the Corys, the Juans, the Shanes, gorditas y flaquitas, puercos, perras, putas y jotas, machas y maripositas. The Daryls, the Tevins, the Diancas, the Leroys, the Peters, trans girls, maricones, drag queens, club kids, light like lightning on the dance floor. The Eddies, the Akiras, the Christophers, the Gerardos, the Erics, schoolgirls, businessmen, loyal husbands, bartenders, DJs, and go-go dancers without 401ks, pension plans, or healthcare.
Come on.
Afro-Latinos, Puerto Ricanos, Mexicanos, Salvadoreños, Colombianos. I think of every gay bar and the rare surviving dyke bars with their once a month, if we're lucky, once a week, Latin music nights. The noche de cumbia, placitas, pan dulces, escuelitas, mangos, pota loca, butters, circus, arena, wet, cuchilicious. Some decorated like a year-round quinceañera. Some small, like dancing in someone else's living room. Executive suites, esta noche, chuparrosa, papi chulo. You remember the boss? Pulse, and what was that one for lesbians that was in the flower market in San Francisco once a month? Ah, yes, Canela, with those old school mujeres that had been together for years, where we made out in the bathroom that one time as if we were teenagers because we never got to be romantic queer teens. Do you remember the names of your first gay bars, early afternoon tea dances, house parties, special POC or Latinx nights? How we'd meet up to get ready, a few drinks before entry to save our dollars for tacos to soak up the nightlife in our belly. With each precious face passing on the screen, I am right back in every club, in every small town and big city where I have loved and lived and made out with shy dates, some smooth lovers, people who I identified one way and maybe later identified another. That one allegedly straight girl who drank too much and then wanted to dance up all on you, hours of unpaid social work. Gay boyfriends would eventually disappear into the crowd. Some of us had codes. Don't leave the club without me, girl. Our safe word will be cucumber. Others we don't worry about. They'll be back in a few minutes. We'll check in tomorrow. The shy ones slowly sipping their beer in the corner, not fully fitting in anywhere. We sang along to all the divas. La India, Thalia, Selena, Paulina, Gloria, Sonora Dinamita. Crushed on gay cowboys with their pressed slacks, matching boots, belts, and hats, holding each other tight no matter who they went home to. And the butches and boys that gave me dollars to press tips to the chichis of every dancing queen. I'm still not ready to be coherent or make connections. I will never be ready to wake up to this news. I'm trying to keep it moving. I'm not sure why the world keeps spinning, the church bells keep ringing. I want action instead of wishes. Don't whitewash this story. Oh, I thought I was going to get the... Oh, all right. Queerly beloved. Let me just do
I yield my time.
Thank you. Queerly beloved, we are gathered here to get through this thing called life. Our story stretched across bloodlines, backrooms, and borderlines. We're tired of mourning brown kids shot by entitled pigs with guns not meant to stop but destroy. We shouldn't have to carry arms on hips meant for dancing, pretending that makes us safe. We remember, honor, dance through our worst tears. How do we even find any more tears? Our job is to keep going, because the pulse never stops, finding love in hopeless places. We're tired of being so resilient, pero love beats here.
Our next reader is Edyka Chilomé. She's a lesbian queer woman storymaker. Her work manifests as drawing, stories, jewelry, painting, stickers, y más, as a continuation and evolution of the conversation started by the Chicana, Chicanx movement in art and literature, now infused by Latinx, transfeminism, intersectionality, queer politics, and resistance. Thank you.
It's Not Okay. June 12th, 2016. 49 shot dead and 53 injured at gay nightclub Pulse, Orlando, Florida. June 13th, the next day, 10:15 a.m. I called my mom because I longed for the feeling of being a baby, a feeling of being held, a space to safely crumble and cry. And like any sweet, loving mommy who raised me on fresh tortillas and frijoles and kindness, she asked, "Are you okay, mija?" I said no, and wanted to tell her why. She interrupted me before I could elaborate or have any feelings. She told me, we need to pray, mija. The Virgencita Jesucristo is there waiting for us to give this election up to them. No, but mommy, I am scared. And she continued, I know, that's why our Lord wants you to go to him, mija. I kept saying, I am scared in my head. I wanted desperately for her to hear me, wanted her to just listen like I wanted her to listen when I was scared 25 years ago alone in my dorm room, afraid because the student from Lubbock across the hall told me I was going to hell and her Odessa, Texas boyfriend smeared dog shit on my car. But mommy stopped talking to me back then after she found out I was gay. I told her again, Mommy, I am scared of all the hate in the world right now. And she interrupted, Mijita, I'm praying for our world, praying for the evil. And I remembered when I was told by praying people that I was evil for being gay, a disgrace, disgusting, committing mortal sin. Then I remembered that our soon-to-be, which now Vice President and President said those same words about me and all my LGBTQIA hermanas and hermanos, my brown, black familia, my sisters and mi gente coming to the US for dreams of peace. And then I remembered my mommy is not the mean man I am afraid of. She loves me, but somewhere in all the battles she had to fight between being punished for speaking Spanish, degraded by her white teacher, segregation, Vietnam, ovarian cancer, the Cold War, sexual assault from her boss, her lesbian daughter, and the things she has packed away behind survival, somewhere she's become so scared she stopped fighting, and I reminded myself that my mommy has come a long way, gone through a lot, loves my wife, my children very much, so I tried again. I am scared, Mommy, I said, and our babies are scared too. They're afraid. I assumed my mommy would understand because she held my brother to her chest and promised to leave the US if he was called away to Vietnam. She was afraid and felt the same way I feel today, so I tried again. Mommy, I am scared of Donald Trump and the people he is fueling, I said, but something wouldn't let her hear me. Something wouldn't let the fear in, and she interrupted again before I could continue. Mijita, we have to pray. I just wanted her to say she was going to come over, maybe make me caldo or sit with me, but she didn't. I wanted her to say she was ready to fight for me, but she didn't. I'm gonna keep going down. It was not okay when the old white man told my precious sacred wife, let me take you both home to feel what a real dick feels like. It was not okay when the male coach told me at a pep rally he wanted to rip the principal's red leather pants off and fuck her in the custodial closet. It was not okay when my young gay student was tormented by groups of boys near the library over and over until one day he never returned to school only to hear he died in the bathroom of causes we were never told but a rope burned around his neck. It was not okay. We realized we needed an LGBTQIA hotline just for us kids. It was not okay when my wife's ex-husband found it easy and foolproof to use our racist and homophobic laws to threaten my wife with the custody of their children and deportation. It was not okay when an adult man dragged my 13-year-old body to the beach, jammed his hand into my pants and my face into his, and it wasn't okay the 3 other times it happened again at 6, 11, and 16. It is not okay, so do not tell me it is okay. It is not okay that when you started reading this, a woman was sexually assaulted in the US, and since then 2 more, and before you are done, at least 1 more will be raped and grabbed and beat against her will. It is not okay, so do not tell me it is. I am scared. I have a right to be scared, and I'm not going to just pray. I'm going to yell right back at the man who comes at me next time. I'm going to gather people together so we can walk hand in hand. I'm going to give my gente a safe place to land. I'm going to write our truths until someone listens. I'm going to walk with you to your car so no one lays a hand on you. So do not tell me that I cannot be scared, and do not tell me it is okay. And if you don't believe me, read this again. One thing about queer work, writing, and writing from a queer perspective because we're so silenced, is that we relive the pain or the experience when we're writing it, when we're thinking of it, writing it, and then presenting it, then we have to put it back inside of our hearts, and then we have to go out into the world. So just remember that when you're listening to writers. Thank you.
I love you!
I love you, Barbara. A lot. Thank you. Next up, based in Vancouver, C.E. Gachilian is a 3-time Lambda finalist. His memoir, Double Melancholy, was recently published by Arsenal Pulp Press. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Anel, for inviting me to this incredible event. So I come to you from Vancouver, Canada. It was an expensive trip. So before I start, I need to thank the Playwrights Guild of Canada, University of British Columbia, and Mr. Meyer Leach for allowing me to be here. This is my very first time in Texas. It's been worth every penny. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. I love San Antonio. I'm going to read from my beautifully written and incredibly cheap memoir, Double Melancholy. My name is Christopher Edwin Gachalian. I'm a writer based in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I was named after Christopher Plummer, whom my mother developed a crush on after seeing The Sound of Music. My pen name, C.E. Gachalian, I modeled after one of my literary heroes, T.S. Eliot. Speaking mostly Tagalog at home, and being brown didn't strike me as strange, living as we did in Vancouver's West End, which by the late 1970s had become a dense Babelian hotbed of multiple settler communities. From preschool to grade 12, I attended schools where white kids were the minority. Culturally, however, Tagalog notwithstanding, our household was very white. Virtually everything we watched on TV was white. And between the ages of 5 and 10, the music I most remember hearing was Judy Garland, whom my mother was fixated on, and ABBA, who, for better or for worse, were just ubiquitous. My mom and Lola is Tagalog for grandmother, my mom and Lola seemed distinctly proud of two facts: their fair skin. Lola was a quarter Spanish, another fact that they both seemed proud of, and that they both hailed from Manila, or at least the general vicinity, and not, God forbid, the provinces. They weren't bumpkins, they told me. They had some privilege back home. Somehow I grasped these as facts to hold on to when in doubt. So my early life was idyllic, and I was anxious to keep it that way. I think I was faintly aware that, like all paradisiacal illusions, it could rupture any second, and I remember being easily disquieted by anything or anyone that might precipitate that rupture. I developed an intense phobia of strangers. I would hide in my bedroom whenever we had guests and go into fits whenever a passerby in the street threw me what I interpreted as the evil eye. My mental space was my shelter, my sanctum. It would permit no aggression, no invasion, no rape. I'm going to jump ahead a number of years to when I was in my 20s and started living my life as a gay dude. Just content warning: there's a lot of sex in this. So, the first time I came with a guy, and it took a while, partly because I had trouble getting out of my head, and partly because most of the guys I was with only cared about their orgasms, was at a swanky hotel downtown. He was handsome, Jewish, Floridian, older, actually significantly older than what his online ad said. After we hooked up, I Googled him and discovered that he was my mother's age. But he had a youthful masculine energy and a decent solid body, a sexy East Coast accent, and a glowing Florida tan. We met in the hotel lobby. I perked up as soon as I saw him. Whether it was pheromones or kismet, we were at each other's mercy. In the elevator, he told me I was gorgeous, even more beautiful than in my pictures. He said the magic words. He sealed the evening's fate. The 4 phases of seeing oneself. 1, locked lips as soon as we got to his room, ordered up drinks, gin on the rocks for him, wine for me, talked about Vancouver. My first time here, it's gorgeous. George W. Bush, hate him. Work, he's a lawyer. Israel, Palestine, I'm Jewish and pro-Palestinian. Told me he screwed another fella last night, so on that front, so far, Vancouver had been good to him. Ran his finger up and down my arm and under my shirt, all the while telling me how sexy I am. Partly the wine, but mostly the words. I was relaxed and turned on because I was seeing myself. Usually sex was about the letting go of self, but in my case, I had no self to let go of. But now this quality guy was making me see me. We made out lustily. We moved to the bed. And because the thing came off, I'm going to stop there. Gracias.
Next up is an amazing local author, Six God. Six God, if you're feeling fancy, is a 30-year-old queer Black poet hailing from San Antonio, Texas, a lover of words, craft beer, and women, not necessarily in that order. She writes for the same reasons a caged bird sings. She hopes that you might listen. As the founder and owner of the Spice Rack, her personal practice is encouraging specifically women of color to survive. Six God introduces herself as a survivor. Welcome, Six.
Hi, Mom. This poem is called Take Two. There have been nights I've dreamt of hanging myself only to wake up smiling. You see, it's never sad until I realize the weight of me is too heavy and the rope always snaps. I'm not sure what's scarier, being Black and woman and realizing that I might as well be dead, or the amount of time I spent alone without my voice because I'm too afraid to be seen, knowing that I need to be seen. Staccato thoughts in my head singing every reason I'll never be enough, never speaking up for myself. I'm strong enough to stand up for everyone but myself. I'm strong enough to stand up for everyone but myself. I'm strong, I'm enough, I'm standing. I'm trying to figure out what's the bigger victory. Successfully weathering this storm or accepting all this destruction, you see. I mean, I'm hanging in there. I mean, I don't let go so easy, and neither do the things I hold on to. Sometimes I think this is keeping me alive. Sometimes I think this is keeping me down. Don't give up. Happy and sad sound different depending on where you've been, and I pronounce happy temporary and sad hang on, or maybe happy hang on and sad temporary. I guess sometimes the heart learns last. Don't become the monsters you fight, and abuse takes the form of many, like neglect or selfishness. It's not listening, it's the pulling apart of your insides. It's I'd rather be single, except not really. It's easier for me to love than to be loved. You see, I know the limit of my love, but the uncertainty of another love feels like earthquake shudders vibrating my skin from my body. My mother, she taught me to love selflessly, taught me lonely, taught me settle, taught me to rebuild, taught me how to shake the ground. I stand on my mother. She taught me survive, survive, survive. I am my mother's daughter, and she is my shadow. Always there reminding me of the sun, of the light, of the lessons and life. It's like walking past her after I pissed her off and she's promising that she won't hit me only. The vacuum of anticipation I exist in leaves me chewing rocks, breathlessly waiting on the backhand to the face. It's fighting against the weight, the gravity pulling down on my spine, forcing me to shrink, and on good days, it's a leap of faith. It's quick steps through a narrow passageway. It's ducking right before I dive into my room with nothing more than a bruised ego of my mother. She told me that there would be days like this. Mama, take these days back. Mama said fight, said there ain't no time for quitting. My mother, she taught me how to survive. and I am her daughter. She is my shadow, always there reminding me of the light, of the sun, of tomorrow. Thank you.
Next up will be Saul Hernandez. Saul is a queer writer from San Antonio, Texas. He's a finalist for the 2019 Submerging Writer Fellowship, Fear No Lit, a semi-finalist for the 2018 Francine Ringgold Award for New Writers, Nimrod Literary Journal. His work is forthcoming featured in the Acentos Review, Cosmonauts Avenue, Borderlands Texas Poetry Review, The Normal School, Rio Grande Review, and Adelaide Literary Magazine. He's also a Macondo Fellow. Please welcome Saul Hernandez.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to follow that act, but I'll try. I would like to start off with this poem called For My Queer Ancestors. Somewhere across the border, beyond the desert, beyond cerros, my family's history is erased each day, but I only know them by name. Federico, Elvira, Antonio, Magdalena. Maybe you too held hands with a boy like you, or a girl like you. Mateo, Griselda, Luis, Zoraida. To take a leap means sometimes losing your family. Gustavo, Micaela, Angel, Esmeralda. If I lose them, I will ask you to help me find myself. Arnulfo, Esperanza, Luis Mario, Marisol. If you can read this, I'm losing myself. In Mexico, I asked my grandfather if anyone in our family is gay. He says, en nuestra sangre, there aren't any of them. And I say, Tomás, Francis, Juan Jose. But he walks away. The next one I'm reading is part of a longer collection, or a sequence poem. So this is part 2, and the title is called When Dreams Come True. I play a video at night. Families meet in the middle of the Rio Grande with their ankles in water, reuniting in 180 seconds. They grab onto one another, dig their faces in between necks, fingers that do not want to let go of one another. A couple drives 11 hours from a small town in Mexico to meet their grandchildren for the first time. A woman says, it's been a decade since she has seen her family. A girl of 15 says, her mother was deported years ago. Today, they will all meet again. A man covered in tattoos looks at the camera. He's wearing my mother's eyes. He too must know the weight of having to carry a hollow space between his hands. He tells the reporter, isn't this the land where dreams come true? I want to hold him in my arms. Tell him, this is the land where dreams will destroy you. Another man reminds us this is a human rights campaign. Hugs, not walls. For 3 minutes, 2 countries merge, undocumented and Mexico. For seconds, dreams do come true. And then this last part is also, this last one is also from a sequence poem. I really like to write longer poems. This is section 3. This is titled Sound of Myself. 3. In college, I read Gertrude Stein. A rose is a rose is a rose. I unravel petals all day with my tongue. I tease a boy. I tell him, I don't like anything going in me unless it's love. We laugh. In the morning, I ask him, what would you call what we did last night? His answer, we don't have to call it anything. And he's right. Unless it's love, unless it's love, unless. Thank you.
Once again, thank you all for supporting the important work of the Esperanza by tuning in this evening. I'm sure you loved today's performances. I know I saw it on March 6th, and watching it again, it was great. This program was amazing. Thanks to you, our donors, and a special shout out to Coyote Phoenix. I saw that she was on today. Gracias for your support, especially of the lesbian voices in our community. If you would like to become a monthly donor to support Esperanza's cultural programming and advocacy work, please visit esperanzacenter.org/donate. You can also donate through Venmo, just search Esperanza Center, or mail in your donations to our office at 922 San Pedro, San Antonio, Texas, 78212. And if you have any questions, please email the Esperanza at esperanzacenter.org or call us at 210-228-0201 and leave a message. Thank you again for your support. Take care and stay safe. Gracias.